Thank you, Professor Rishabh, and it's a great opportunity for me to speak at this event, and I've been eagerly waiting for this. And I'll just share my slides. Am I audible to all of you now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Okay,
Please.
I'm sharing my slides. Rishabh, slides are visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can visible.
Okay. So, guys, let me just thank Rishabh once again because he has been associated with me for a very long time, and we have been doing research in this particular area. We have also published few papers in this particular area, and hopefully we are going to publish some more papers in this area in the coming time. So today the topic which is being given to me is introduction to neural networks and fuzzy systems, which is a very important topic as far as artificial intelligence is concerned. And nowadays you must be well aware that people are running for this term artificial intelligence. So wherever you go, even if you go to ministries, even if you go to submit a project somewhere in engineering, in your day-to-day life, you keep on hearing this word artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence. And even, I mean, in day-to-day life, we don't know that in how many applications we're using knowingly or unknowingly the term, this artificial intelligence, and how is it making our life more easier. So let me just start the presentation. I just want to say one thing, that if you've got any doubts, please let me know then and there itself. Stop me in between so that we can have a good discussion. And also you can post your messages in the chat box. But right now, since I'm presenting, I'm not able to see the chat box. So I'll just note down your questions and I'll answer them. But if you have any doubt, please do interrupt me and do ask your questions.
Sir, sorry. Sir, sorry to interrupt you. Sir, on your screen, there is a one stop sharing and just adjacent to that hide button. So please
hide button.
Just hide it. Okay, thank you. Carry on, sir.
Okay. So now let me just go with the history, that how the term artificial intelligence, how the term neural networks or fuzzy logic have evolved over the period of time. So it all started with in the year 1940 when the first computing machine was launched. Thereafter, in 1957, the perceptron, the first neural network model, was launched. And from there onwards, the growth in this particular sector in neural network, fuzzy or artificial intelligence is happening over and over and over. So in 1980s is important because from 1980s onwards, you see that the concept of neural computing or swarm intelligence was introduced. And from 90s, you can see that the fuzzy neural networks, or we can say that the hybrid models, have come into the picture. So beyond 90s, the research areas converge to three important topics, which are computational intelligence, soft computing, intelligent systems. And these areas do cover the systems like adaptive systems, fuzzy systems, neural network, evolutionary computing, and data mining. All these areas are important, and they're working in the one big umbrella of artificial intelligence. If you say artificial intelligence, it is one big umbrella under which you have got some subsystems which are known by the name of neural networks, fuzzy systems, evolutionary computing, and so on. So don't get confused with the term. Artificial intelligence, you can say, is a bigger umbrella for all these things, and these all are tools to develop the artificial intelligence, and these tools depend upon what kind of application we are looking for. So for each application, we'll have a different kind of tool. So this is how it looks like. So we can say that the outer circle is artificial intelligence, which embodies the concept of machine learning, right? So neural network is a tool of machine learning. And now people have even now gone down to the concept of deep learning, right, which is the concept in multi-layer neural networks. So everything is under the big circle of artificial intelligence. And this is how the development has taken place. So it started in 1950s. Now, in 1950s, the term artificial intelligence was introduced, and then it has eventually gone down to term machine intelligence, when the different tools like neural networks, fuzzy system, and they all have come into the picture in 1980s. And now when we're talking in term in 2017, 18, 19, and 20, then the concept of deep learning neural networks or deep learning has evolved over the time. You must have heard this term deep learning in all the engineering applications that you are uh, designing nowadays. Maybe it from mechanical engineering, maybe it from electrical engineering, electronics engineering, or anything. Well, this one is very important. I mean, are the slides visible to all of you? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Yes, visible.
Okay, please do let me know, because sometimes I feel like a fool because you're sitting and talking to screen and nobody is there. So we are not used to for taking this kind of lectures. So please do let me know whenever you are not comfortable or screens is not visible, right? So
Comfortable, sir.
see, the main concept is that why there should be a question now that why we are running after artificial intelligence. What is so big with artificial intelligence, and why do we want to do research in the field of artificial intelligence? So these are some of the major companies or the major fields in which you can say that artificial intelligence is now come up in a big way, and you can find in artificial intelligence not just related to these sectors, but these are some of the important sectors where you will find that artificial intelligence based applications are now increasing day by day. So to start with, the first one that you can look is conversational bots. That means whenever you go to say Max Bupa Life Insurance, or you go to Maruti, or you go to any website, it automatically opens up a chat box which says that what you want to do, how you want to do. Then vision, auto, robotics, cyber security, business intelligence and analytics, sales, healthcare. Healthcare is one such very important sector in which artificial intelligence will keep on growing in the near future, right? So these are some of the companies which are totally based on artificial intelligence, and more companies are forming day by day, which are based on artificial intelligence. And the basic concept is that by the use of artificial intelligence, we are making the life of people easier. Now, let me just define that what is artificial intelligence. So if I just define the term artificial intelligence, we can say that they are the computers with the ability to mimic or duplicate the functions of human brain. Right? It is the human brain from where the term artificial intelligence has been taken, or it has evolved from the term. It has evolved from the human brain. So human brain has got two important functions which machines could not do earlier. The first function is that we can have a logical thinking. We can think logically, right? And second thing is we can store the learning. So over a period of time, we can store whatever we have learned. For example, when we were a child, you started by knowing A, B, C, D, just the letters, and then we have started to form words, and then we have started to form sentences. Now we can write down essays and paragraphs. So this is how the human learning takes place. So you tell them slowly, they learn the knowledge, and then they apply the knowledge to make it for the bigger system. Now, how you define an artificial intelligence system? Right, the artificial intelligence systems can be defined as a people which are involved in artificial intelligence, procedures, hardware, software, data and knowledge needed to develop computer systems, and machines that demonstrate the characteristics of intelligence. So again, this thing says that it could be anything, right? for it could be a people, procedure, hardware, software, the data, knowledge, and anything that is needed to make an intelligent system. Now, what is involved in intelligence as far as our concept of artificial intelligence? What is the human concept of intelligence? The first thing is that it should be able to interact with the real world. That means we can perceive, understand, and act. So under this category, you can find speech recognition and understanding and synthesis. For example, some of you might be using Apple phones. Some of you might be using Samsung, or some of you might be using some different phones. But nowadays, you can see that all of them have got some kind of intelligent system that can interact with you. For example, Siri is there for Apple. So Siri is an assistant, intelligent assistant. So if you're driving, you can directly talk to Siri. The Siri can understand your language and it can act accordingly. Then you can have image understanding, ability to take actions and have an effect. Now, next thing is that reasoning and planning. So what comes under the reasoning and planning? It is modeling the external world with the given input, solving new problems, planning and making decisions, ability to deal with unexpected problems and uncertainties. All of us might have invested some money in share market, but we don't know that what is going to be the future, whether our money is going to grow or whether our money is going to get depleted. I mean, the market is going to crash. But if we have got something intelligent tool with us, which can suggest, okay, you invest in this particular share because in next 5 months, you can see a growth of 20%. You can see a growth of 30%. So it will make our life easier because now I have an intelligent system who is analyzing the historical data of any particular share and is giving me the decision in form of that whether to invest in that particular share or not. Isn't it helpful? Yes, obviously it is, because I am getting some information which I could not have got if, or otherwise I could have to go back and do all the analysis that how the share is performing for last so many years. And now this thing is being done by an intelligent agent who can just simply tell me that whether to invest in this particular share or not. And lastly, we got learning and adaptation, the systems which can learn and update themselves, the system which can adapt to the environment. Is these all come under the category of intelligence. Now, the question that comes is that what are the major branches of artificial intelligence? Where do we find artificial intelligence application mostly in our life? Is vision system for manipulating images or for doing the image processing. For example, at the airports, whenever there is a unidentified passenger or some militant who has changed his face is going through the airport, the human eye can miss it, but an artificial intelligence or an artificial intelligence based camera can always detect that face and find that whether the person is same or not. Robotics, I think all of us are aware that now robotics or automation of the industry is playing a huge role. Be it any industries, robots are now coming up in a big way. MI has recently launched a robot which can clean your house. I hope that you must have heard of it. Then expert systems which can store knowledge and make inferences. Learning systems which can learn and which can react. Natural language processing. I've already told you that your Siri and so many other systems which come across you, they process the language naturally. And neural networks which can function like a human brain. That means they can learn and they can use that knowledge for future use. Now these are the main applications of artificial intelligence: image recognition that I've already told, natural language processing, portfolio management and prediction of spot, the price markets or price movements, drug discovery and better diagnostic of disease in healthcare. I think this one is very important because right now this is the main cause because of which we are stuck to our houses. the pandemic, COVID-19, and the world is trying to develop the medicine, and still we have not got it. So in future, I'm pretty much sure that the artificial intelligence system will help the people to develop the medicine in a faster way, so that if such pandemic occurs in future, they can be treated very soon. Speech recognition is done, and then robots and self-driving cars. I hope that you must have heard of Google. Google is developing a self-driving car which will know the path, so that it will automatically take you to the destination. Now, these are some of the tools which we normally use for the development of artificial intelligence. These are not the only tools. Let me tell you, because now the advancement has taken place. So there are a lot of other tools also which have come under the umbrella of artificial intelligence. But these are the few basic tools which normally people use in engineering and for developing the solutions to the problem of engineering. So fuzzy logic is a tool which is based on human thinking, right? Because human do not think abstractly. So how do we think? We think in a manner like if we are talking to someone. How do we talk? We talk like if you call your parents and you ask that how is the weather today, they will simply say आज बहुत ठंडा था, right? And you say that कि आज बाहर बहुत ठंडी है. So now this statement is vague in itself. There is no meaning for this particular statement, because a computer can't understand what do you mean by cold until unless you specify the temperature. But as a human, we are able to understand the language of each other. We are fuzzy in terms of thinking. We are fuzzy in terms of talking with each other. We don't make sense. But a computer don't understand these things. The fuzzy logic is being developed by the Professor Lofty Jeddah in the year 1964 from Berkeley University. And he has said that the human thinking can be used to develop a logic, complete logic, which machines can use so that they can give solution to the problems in a faster manner. Right. Then come neural networks. Neural networks is the mathematical model of human brain. And what human brain comprises of? It comprises of lot of neurons, right? And what is the best part of neurons? With a lot of neurons, what you can do is you can process the information parallelly. I think you must not have seen any robot till date playing cricket like Virat Kohli. You must not have seen any robot till date playing cricket like Sachin Tendulkar. Why? Because this is the power of human brain. That when somebody is bowling, so just by looking at the ball, these two people, or maybe we also, but we are not that good in cricket. So we can judge that how to make a shot, right? So you see that leg movement is there, hand movement is there, and the wrist movement is there, and the person is taking a shot. So complete body is working in parallelly. So we are processing the information parallelly. So most of you, when you're driving, you're using the phones. So this is the beauty of human brain, which people try to put into controllers, and that is why they have developed the neural network. It is a model of human brain. And third thing that is very wonderful is genetic algorithms. So what is genetic algorithm is? It is the genetics which plays an important role in the life of human beings. जैसा कि कहा जाता है कि our forefathers were monkeys, actually वो बंदर थे, right? And from that we have evolved into what we are today. So it is always said that the next generation is going to be better than the previous generation in terms of everything, in terms of health, in terms of their thinking ability, in terms of everything. So this benefit of, or this, what you can say, this beauty of genetics of human being is taken into account to develop the genetic algorithms for optimization. Till any question till this slide?
No, sir, we haven't received any question in the chat box till now. The participant, if you have any question, you just let me know, sir. Sir, you can carry on.
Okay. So now I'll start with fuzzy logic, that what fuzzy logic is all about. So fuzzy logic, as I've already said, that it is based on human thinking, that how the human thinks, and we talk in a vague manner, we think in a vague manner, but yet we are able to understand. So we need not to tell everyone ki what we are up to. Like if we want to say to our somebody who is entering the room ki fan tej kar de, right? So fan tej kar de in is a sentence in itself. We want to change the speed of the fan without telling ki what should be the speed of fan, right? Similarly, if you are going with your friend and he is driving very rashly or very fast, you ask him to slow down, but you don't tell him to slow down to a speed of 40 kilometers per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. You simply say them ki yaar gaadi dheere kar le. That's it. This statement is a complete statement in itself for him to understand ki what action he has to take. Now this thing is being taken to form the concept of fuzzy logic. So as a definition of fuzzy says that the fuzzy word means something which is not clear, distinct or precise, something which is blurred. As I've said that the statement ki gaadi dheere kar le or fan ki speed tej kar do is an incomplete statement because we don't know that ki what need to be done. But the other person who is also a human being is able to understand correctly ki what need to be done. But if you are talking to robot, then the robot may not be able to understand this thing, right? So what is definition of fuzzy logic? It is a form of knowledge representation suitable for notations that cannot be defined precisely, but with which depends upon their context. So now this is how the fuzzy is represented. Fuzzy is usually represented by variables like slow, fast, medium, and so on, because this is how we talk. So this is the structure of any fuzzy expert system. Fuzzy expert system depends upon that we receive a crisp value, and then that crisp value is given to a fuzzification system which fuzzifies the value. Then it goes to inference engine, and inference engine infers from a knowledge base, and after getting the result it again defuzzifies it and sends you the crisp value. For example, if I ask you to develop the temperature controller for your home, right? You want to control the speed of the fan according to the temperature. Now the fan speed is going to be a crisp value. If it is dependent upon the temperature, then again temperature is going to be a crisp value. It is going to be some value. If I say what is the temperature of today, it should be some value, maybe 28 degrees Celsius or 27 or whatever. So it should be some value, right? Now that value need to be changed into fuzzy variable. So this process of changing any crisp value to fuzzy value is what we call as fuzzification. Now after fuzzification, the next important part is inference engine, how we infer. So we make rules depending upon if temperature is medium and humidity is medium, then fan speed should be medium. Suppose if this is the rule that is there in the knowledge base and this is being inferred by the inference engine, now the output is the fan speed should be medium. But do you know that how to define medium to how can you make the fan speed medium? What is medium for fan speed? You don't know it. So it again need to be changed to a crisp value. So crisp value will be the speed in RPM. Like if it is 1500 RPM, then it should be brought down to 1200 RPM or 1000 RPM. So for any fuzzy system, the input is a crisp value and the output is also a crisp value. Like this is the example that Like if you want to control the temperature of any control environment, like any furnace, and you have a heater and a cooler, right? And the feedback to the fuzzy inference system should be the temperature of this environment. If I ask you to keep the temperature of this environment at 25 degrees Celsius, right? Now what happens, there is a sensor which senses the temperature and it sends a input to this fuzzy logic engine, and there is a command. Now this command will decide if the temperature goes to 28, so it is now getting hot. From 25 to 28 it is getting hot, so cooler needs to be turned on. If it is come down to 22, so it is getting colder, so it needs to be heated up, so heater will turn on. Is that clear? So this is how we design the fuzzy logic system. Now, what are the benefits of using a fuzzy logic? So there are, first benefit is that we don't need to develop the linear model of plant, sensor and actuators. Secondly, we don't need to develop an algorithm for the controllers. These are the two basic benefits. You can directly give it as an input, and the input will itself decide that how to change the output so that it meets the required criteria. I'm just coming to the next slide so that you get a better understanding. Okay, I think I don't have this slide in this particular session. Anyways, so what I'm trying to tell you that if I ask you to develop a PID controller for any, if I want to ask you to develop a PID controller for controlling the temperature of your room, so you need to know the value of P, you need to know the value of I, you need to know the value of D, and then you need to calculate how the fan speed is going to change based on temperature and humidity. But if I ask you to develop the same thing using a fuzzy, then you need not to worry for anything. You simply take the input from the sensors, convert it into a fuzzy value. The fuzzy inference system will do this for you. It will automatically find that what is going to be the output, and it will automatically control the temperature, or it will automatically control the speed of your fan based on the temperature and humidity. Now, the most important question is that what is the limitation of fuzzy? See, the limitation of fuzzy is that fuzzy is basically based on membership functions. We need to define the membership functions, and there is no rule which says that what kind of membership function we should use for developing the fuzzy controller. And defuzzification can produce some undesired results. So these are the two limitations of fuzzy. Now it comes down to what are the applications of fuzzy logic where we can apply the fuzzy logic. So fuzzy logic can be applied in quality assurance. It can be applied for error diagnostics, control theory and pattern recognition. So being very specifically, I can say that elevators, vacuum cleaners, washing machines, razors, your camera and so many other things, you will find that fuzzy logic is there. Just understand one concept. Fuzzy is applied at any place where we don't want accuracy, right? For example, the temperature controller of your room. You don't want the temperature to be precise. If it goes up by, like if I'm controlling the temperature of my AC automatically, then it hardly matters. I cannot distinguish between 24 and 25. 24 and 25 is one and the same thing. So under such circumstances, I'll go for fuzzy logic controller. Washing machine, I don't want the things to be very precise. What I want is that my clothes should be washed. They should be neat. And the machine should be robust enough. It should be fast enough to give me the clean clothes. That is it. Cameras. When I'm using a camera, the main thing is that I need to decide that how much far the object should be there from the camera so that pictures comes out to be clear. So now that distance, either you take along with a measuring tape and you measure ki on this should be 10 centimeter only. If I go 11, then the image is going to be distorted. Sorry.
Excuse me, sir.
Please.
Your screen is not visible, sir. Someone else is presenting.
Sorry, my screen.
Manoj Parmar is presenting.
Manoj Parmar, please stop presenting your screen. Manoj Parmar. Please stop. Nitin sir, once again you
Stop
present your...
I stopped presenting.
No sir, you again presented your screen.
Acha, I should have started again.
Yes, sir. Again present your screen.
Okay.
Someone else has presented just because of that. Yes, sir. Correct.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Totally visible.
Okay. Now what I'm saying is that I'll use fuzzy for the processes, or I will use fuzzy for the system where accuracy is not of utmost concern, right? Where I want the process should be fast enough, it should give me good results, and the controller should be robust. So for that processes, I'll go for, or for that particular systems, I'll go for fuzzy. Like I've told you, the temperature controller, if it controls at 24 or it controls at 24.5 or 25, it hardly matters, because as a person, my body cannot make a difference between 24 and 25. Similarly, a washing machine or a camera, when I'm interested in taking a picture, I'm least bothered that how far the object is from me. What I want is that the fuzzy controller should do its work, and it should give me good results whenever I'm clicking the picture. Like most of you are now using a smartphone in which it is written that the camera is AI enabled, like Vivo and all the phones. Now they are giving you artificial intelligence based camera, right? So every one of us is now a photographer. You need not to worry anything. You just go there, take out your camera and click a photograph. This photograph is going to be very beautiful because camera does it for you. So you're least bothered. Anyone can become a photographer. Earlier, you used to learn photography. You used to know that how should be the object, what should be the lighting, what should be the distance from the camera. But now everyone is photographer because you just take out your phone. It is AI-enabled phone, AI-enabled camera. You just place it and take a picture. It will give you good picture. Okay, now coming to neural networks. So neural networks is totally different from fuzzy in terms of, because fuzzy cannot store knowledge. Fuzzy systems cannot learn. Fuzzy cannot learn, and fuzzy cannot store knowledge. So neural network is based on the human brain. So we'll cover these topics, that what is a neural network, how do they work, benefits of neural network and their applications. So like I've already told you that the neural network is basically a mathematical model of human brain, and let me just go to this. So they are taken from the biological neural networks. They are the mathematical model, and they are developed on silicon, right? So now what is the difference between these two? See, the main difference is that biological neural network has got number of neurons. It is massively parallel. But your digital computers or your artificial neural networks, they are limited because you cannot make them massively parallel, right? There is a limitation to the size. So now, how does it makes up for it? It makes up for it by speed. So your artificial neural networks are faster as compared to your biological neural networks, right? Now computation is centralized and synchronous and serial, and in biological neural networks the computation is collective, asynchronous and parallel. Like I have told you that we are able to do many things parallelly We are able to drive while talking. We are able to play cricket. We are able to play football. And in that, we are making the balance. We are able to see the person. We are able to take the action. Most of the things we are doing parallelly, right? Well, your brain is fault tolerant, and it is having some kind of redundancy and is sharing of responsibility. What do you mean by fault tolerance is that even if some part of the biological neural network is not functioning, the remaining part of the biological neural network functions. What does that mean? That means you might have seen that there are some patients, when they meet accident, their left body becomes paralyzed. You say that the left body is not receiving any input from the brain, but still the right body is functioning, right? Or you see that if the hand of the person has stopped functioning because it is not receiving the input from the neuron, but still the other parts of the body are functioning good. So this thing is not there in the artificial neural network. If something goes down, your computer goes down, then you can't say that the half of the person, if the screen goes off, then it goes off completely. It is nowhere like half of the screen is working, because if half screen working, it is of no use. Right. So these are some of the major differences between artificial neural networks and biological neural networks. Now, the question that arises is that why artificial neural network has been considered, because they are massively parallel, distributed representation and computation. They have got learning ability, generalization ability, adaptivity, inherent contextual information processing, fault tolerance, and low energy consumption. So these properties of the human brain have actually made the researchers think about that why not to encapsulate these properties in order to make something like human brain. But they are not able to achieve it completely. Maybe they are close, but not completely. Now, what is inherent contextual information processing is, let me tell you, it's very interesting. Like if you guys forget something, like sometimes it happens that you're coming from a friend's house and you forget some of your keys there. And next morning when you wake up, you remember, where are the keys? Where I have forgotten the keys. Then you start making context. What is context is, you start making context where I have gone last day. I have gone to temple. No, the keys are with me that time because I started my vehicle. Okay. Then where I have gone to market to purchase something. The keys are with me because I have made the payment. So you make a context of your memory. So memory is saved in context. So you associate everything with the contextual information. I make a context in my memory. This is how you store information in the brain, right? So this is very important because generally computer does it, and that is why we are able to retrieve the information after long. If you are asked to retrieve something, you make the context out of it कि उस दिन क्या हुआ था, उस दिन मैं बुआ जी के यहाँ गया था, उस दिन मैं यहाँ गया था, या मैंने उस दिन ये पढ़ा था, and from that context you get the information. So we store the information in a contextual manner. We make the context out of it. So this is the bookish definition of artificial neural network. Are the slides visible now?
Yes, sir, visible, sir. Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
रामायण का पाठ तो नहीं लग रहा है, मतलब ऐसा तो नहीं लग रहा है कि मैं बोल रहा हूँ और लोग सुन रहे हैं, तो समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, sir. Carry on, sir.
So artificial neural network is a machine learning approach that models human brain and consists of a number of artificial neurons. So neurons in the ANNs tend to have fewer connections than biological neurons. ये मैंने आपको explain भी करा है that biological neurons are much large in number as compared to the artificial neurons. Each neuron in ANN receives a number of input. So I'm receiving a number of input. Activation function is applied to these inputs, which result in activation level of neuron. That is the output value of the neuron. And knowledge about the learning task is given in the form of examples called training examples. Right. So there are two more things that I would like to discuss is what people are not clear about, what is happening to the signals in brain, in human brain. Like I am receiving a signal from my eyes, I am receiving the signal from my ears. When I am listening to any lecture, I am actually seeing at the lecture, seeing at the person, and seeing at his board what he is writing, or maybe looking at the slides. And at the same time, I am listening to him. At the same time, I am also listening to him. So the people don't know that how these two signals are going inside the brain, and whether they are getting multiplied or they are getting divided, or what is happening to them, right? So, but in ANN, what we normally do is we aggregate them. We use some sigmoidal functions to aggregate all the inputs that are coming inside the artificial neural network. So this, I think I've already told you that what is the difference between an artificial versus biological neural networks. This one, I've already told you that the brain makes up for slow rate of operation with the two factors. The first one is a huge number of nerve cells and interconnection between them. And second one is the function of a biological neuron seems to be much more complex than that of a logic gate. Second one is essentially that when you are receiving the signals inside the brain, you don't know what is happening to that signal, right? You don't know that whether the signal of eyes is getting multiplied by the signal from the ears, or how this thing is exaggerating, right? And there is one more important thing is the biological neural networks are dynamic in nature. What do you mean by dynamism? Dynamism means that they reconfigure themselves. Reconfiguration means that old neural networks or old neurons, they die or they become inactive, and then the new neurons they develop new neurons and they become more active. For example, like if in childhood you see that you were small but you were more active, right? You can climb tree, you can run, you can do a lot of activities. But as you grow old, these activities become slower day by day, and you tend to be more intelligent because you start studying more. So that part of brain which is involved in learning or which is involved in some kind of studying is developed more. Similarly, Sachin Tendulkar, in the childhood he must be same, but since he has not chosen to study, rather than he has chosen to play, so it's still playing, he is still active, he is still playing at the age of 40, 41, 42, I don't know. But if you compare him with this person who is 40, 41 too and doing a job, you will find that his physical fitness and the physical fitness of Sachin Tendulkar are totally different, just because their brains were trained in a different manner, right? So they have configured them accordingly. Again, these are something. Now, how do we specify a neural network? A neural network is essentially specified by the neural model, then its architecture, learning algorithm, and application. So these are the four main parameters we decide that how do we specify an artificial neural network, right? This is how the biological neuron looks like. It is, so it has got, so I think the second figure, the snaps, where it is written the snaps, it is axon, terminal button, synaptic gap, neurotransmitter, and here you can see some blue dots and with dendrite. So whenever the signal is coming from axon, it passes on to dendrite, and there are some chemicals in between. आपने मुन्ना भाई MBBS मूवी देखी होगी, वहाँ पे वो कहता है कुछ केमिकल लोचा हो गया, right? So this is the chemical that the person is talking about. This chemical actually stores the information. This particular area I'm talking about. Right? This is used for storing the information. So whenever the signal comes from axon, it goes through this chemical and it then passes on to dendrite. Now this chemical, what it does, it either it enhances the signal or it suppresses the signal based on what kind of output is desired. So this is the definition of neural network. This is taken from Simon Higgins. You guys can go and read it. I'll just focus on 2 points. The first one is knowledge is acquired through a learning process, and interneuron connection strength known as synaptic weights are used to store the knowledge. So here the knowledge is being stored in this chemical, and in artificial neural networks the knowledge is stored as a synaptic weight. So whenever we say that we are training the neural network, it means that we are changing the weights so that the knowledge is stored. So whenever the same kind of signals come to the input, it will give me the same kind of output. I'll not go to this. I'll just skip this. Rishabh. Hello.
Yes, sir.
मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि मैं एक थोड़ा लैब का एक पोर्शन दिखाना चाह रहा था, तो मैं थोड़ा
Yes,
सा
sir.
स्किप कर रहा हूँ तेज, क्योंकि मैं कुछ दिखाना चाह रहा हूँ स्टूडेंट्स को, जिससे कि वो थोड़ा सा ना उसको प्रैक्टिस
No
कर सकें.
problem. No problem, sir. Please.
तो ये आर्टिफिशियल न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स है. दिस इज हाउ वी राइट डाउन द मैथमेटिकल पोर्शन ऑफ इट. यू गाइस कैन हैव अ लुक. और उसके बाद भी अगर आपको कोई भी डाउट होता है, इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट, यू कैन जस्ट ईमेल इट टू मी. आई विल बी ऑफ, if I can be of some help to you, I'll be really happy. You can mail down your call.
Yeah, definitely, sir. I can share your information with the participants.
Please do share my information. This is how the artificial neural networks look like. So x1, x2 and x up to xm defines the input values. W1, W2 up to wm defines the synaptic weight. So each input has got some synaptic weight. As I've said that all the inputs are getting aggregated, or they are getting summed. We're using a summing function, and then there is an activation field or activation function. This activation function will decide that what is going to be the output of neuron. So for example, we can think of this simple neuron, right? It has got P and I as input. Oh, sorry, P is the input, one is the bias, and it is getting aggregated, and A is the output. Right, so this is how it looks like. So the input P will be multiplied by W, 1 will be multiplied by B, then it is aggregated, and this will give you the output. Right, so if we choose these values, then...
Sir, I want to ask a question. Sir, always we have to put the value of the bias equals to 1.
No, not always. Not always. It will depend upon what kind of... See, neural networks or fuzzy logic, they are mostly called as hit and trial methods. I've told you they are not the methods which will define, like if you are going to design a neural network for same problem. If I design a neural network for the same problem, you design a neural network for the same problem, we may get different results. We may have different kind of architectures. Is that clear? So it will depend, it will come from practice that what should be the value of B or 1. There is no hard and fast rule for that.
Okay.
I just want to show you, please.
Sir, there is one more question. Someone asked me, how do we decide upon synaptic weights?
Synaptic weights are usually taken as random in the beginning, and as a practice, we always take them less than 1. So the summation of all the weights should be equal to 1. Right, so W1, W2 up to, say, if my problem has got 3 inputs, then I'll prefer to take W1, W2, W3 as synaptic weights, and the summation of all 3 should be equal to 1. So one can be 0.35, 0.45 or something which is less than 1. So summation should be 1. Now what happens whenever we train the neural network? The synaptic weights will automatically change according to the problem. Like if there are 3 inputs and the 2 inputs will decide that the 2 inputs are important, the weights of these 2 inputs will become 0.8 and 0.6 and 0.3, and the weight of the third problem, the third input will automatically become 0.1. Is that clear? So the synaptic weights are chosen randomly in the beginning, and as the training progresses, they will automatically change themselves as the learning takes place. Should I proceed, Rishabh, now?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Please proceed.
And I think this one is also an answer to the question that the girl has asked, that it has a constant input of 1. but it could be depending upon the kind of problem that we're dealing, and it can be omitted, it can be zero also if it is not required. Right, so these are the different activation functions that we normally take: step function, ramp function, sigmoid, and Gaussian. Again, there is no hard and fast rule that which function we should take. Normally people take sigmoid function because it suits most of the problems, because आप जानते हैं कि वो Gaussian curve की type में होता है, तो sigmoidal function suits the most, Gaussian function suits the most. लेकिन there is again no hard and fast rule to say that what activation function you should choose. It depends upon कि आप जब develop कर रहे हैं, आपने कौन सा try किया, which has given you better results, you will take that particular activation function. Right, this is how they look like. Now this is about the architectures. These are the different architectures of neural network: single layer, multi-layer, recurrent, radial basis function. Single layer means just single layer of neurons. Multi-layer means two layers. Other than input and output, there is one more layer which is called hidden layer. Hidden layer के लिए भी there is no hard and fast rule that how many neurons should be there, how many hidden neurons should be there. लेकिन these hidden layer do affect the performance. अगर हम if we keep too many hidden layers, then what will happen? The computation becomes slow, right? And if we take less number of hidden layers, then the problem that comes is that the network might not give the correct results. So again, there is a hit and trial method ki how many hidden layers should be there, how many neurons should be there in each hidden layer. It depends, it comes from practice, and it comes from how many problems you have dealt in with the neural networks. This is recurrent neural networks. Recurrent neural networks means that they have a feedback also. This is how the recurrent neural networks looks like. You can see that the output of each neuron is going back as a feedback, and where D represents the delay operator. Again, radial basis neural network. I'm just skipping it fast so that I can show you something from the laboratory point of view. These are again the types of neural network.
Sir, you have 10 minutes more, sir.
10 minutes now, so I'm just skipping it fast. So these are some types of neural network which people do consider for their problems. What I have told you is very basic of neural networks. Neural networks have developed like anything. So people are using advanced neural networks that you need to study, that self-organizing maps are there, support vector machines are there. So there are so many neural networks according to the problem. Again, it will decide on what kind of problem you are using. This is the learning. I'm again skipping this learning because I'm going to show you something good. I'm just finishing it. I'm really sorry, guys. And this is the toolbox for MATLAB that I've also planned to show you, but 1 hour is literally less. So again, I'm telling you that these are the applications for your neural network applications, that where you can use neural network. It can be used for stock market prediction. This could be the input exchange rates, interest rates, and turnover. They could be used for a chemical manufacturing industries where you want to make some chemicals which requires exact proportion of the chemicals to be mixed together. They can be used for industrial inspection, like a pizza industry. So just by looking at the pizza, the network will tell you whether the pizza has been cooked sufficiently or not, right? So guys, other than this, I want to show you you must have heard of virtual labs now. So there is something which we call as V-Labs. It is from IIT Bombay, and here you can find a machine learning lab, right? So if you go to a machine learning lab, I have just opened this example for you. Like this is what I have shown. Rishabh, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So guys, what they have done is they have simply, there are many experiments. I'm just showing you this is the list. I mean, you can just click here and you can see that how many experiments are there, right? These are the experiments that you have. AND gate, XOR gate. You can learn by these experiments and you can think of how to do these things. Now this is a simple experiment I have opened up for you. This is the implementation of AND gate using the single layer perceptron. Now what you can switch is whether you want an AND gate, OR gate or NOR gate. I want an AND gate. The output of an AND gate is 0, 0 is 0, 0, 1 is 0. Sorry, 0, 1 and 0. It is 1, 0 is 0 and 1, 1 is 1. Now I can decide the weights. What could be the weights? The starting weights W1 and W2, because there are two inputs X and Y. So I can decide the weight and I can decide a threshold. This threshold will decide that how the output of neuron is going to be 0 or 1, and I can start the simulation, right? So once I start the simulation, the first input that I have given is 0 and 0. The expected output should be 0. Now I'll see that what is the output that I'm getting from neural network. So my neural network output is 0, which is less than 0.5. 0.5 is the threshold that I've chosen. So it becomes 0, right? Now I apply next set of inputs. It is 0 and 1. Now let me see that how it works for 0 and 1. So it is giving me 1, but ideally it should be 0. So that means my network is not training correctly. So again, I apply a set of input. It is 1, 0. The output should be 0. Now let me see that what it gives. It is giving me 1, which is again the incorrect result. Then I again apply the next set of input, which is 1, 1. So the output should be 1. Now let me see what it gives. Again, it is giving me 1.8, which is greater than 0.5. So this should be 1. Right? So for two values I'm getting wrong and two values I'm getting correct. I'll reduce this weight to 0.3. Right? And now I'll start it all over again. Let me see if I get the things correctly or not. So you guys have understood some things? I mean, you guys are able to visualize that what neural networks is all about?
Yes, sir. We definitely.
One more example I'm going to show you after this. Rishabh, do I have 5 more minutes now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Just 2-3 minutes I'll take. I know that it's already late and you must be waiting for your dinner. So I'm just taking 2-3 minutes. I'm really sorry, guys.
It's a kind of academic day what we have right now.
Yes. So again, one set of values. So I think this is just to show you that you can play with your threshold value, you can play with your weights, and you can see that how the input is and how the output is varying. So in this case, I'm just getting one result wrong. So if I just make it as 0.8, I'm sure that now I'll get everything as right? And that you can see by this. And there is one more example that I want to show you, which is of fuzzification process. Understanding the process of fuzzification. This is the simulation part of it. As I have told you that in fuzzy we do represent everything by a linguistic variable. So we represent it as cool, warm and hot. So any temperature, like if I talk about temperature, then I can represent it by using 3 membership functions, and the membership functions given in this particular example is of a triangular membership function. I can choose any other membership function also. I can just set these value to something, right? Now if I start simulation, I wish to know that if I take the input as 55 with these value of cool, warm and hot, And this blue line, dark blue line with two black dots, it represents the scalar input that I've given to the system. Now my input cuts the, this, I think this is hot one, a cool one. I think this is warm one. Red one must be warm, right? It's cool. So this is cutting red and green. I need to look at what the red and green, they have not given that what red represents, what green represents. But I think since cool, warm, hot, then red should be cool, warm and hot. Hot is blue. Right. So you can see that it is cutting the value in red as well as green. So now the results that is showing me that in cool set it is 60 and in warm set it is 25. Right. So my input lies in both, in cool as well as in warm section. So the temperature is 60% cool and 25% warm. So based on this input, the controller now will decide the action. Earlier, this is not possible when I am talking about, when I talking in terms of crisp value, because crisp value can only lie in one set. So in fuzzy, an element can be a member of two or more sets. So I just look at that example also once again so that it gives you correct NAND gate. So there are some more labs from IIT Bombay also. So this one is the lab from IIT Bombay. It is an artificial neural network lab. No, this is from IIIT Hyderabad. The last one is from IIT Bombay. So this is artificial neural network lab. And here you have got 10 different experiments. So what I ask all the people of this particular college or school that you please go to this virtual labs and just try your hands out on this artificial neural networks lab and machine learning lab so that you get to learn something. Okay, Rishabh, I'll finish my lecture. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to interact with the audience, and if there are any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, participants are requested to, if you have any query, just let me know, sir.
Sir,
Any query?
you have already told us that the fuzzy logic or fuzzy system doesn't have any knowledge gathering facility. So
Learning. Please go ahead.
So we have to proceed to the neural networks. But in the system, there is a knowledge base. So this knowledge base and knowledge learning procedure, that are different concepts.
Yes. See, knowledge base is something that we develop. Like I've already told you, for this particular example, if I want to make some rules, like this one, like if I've got 3 temperatures, right? Cool, warm and hot. So this should be a 3 by 3 matrix. That means 9 rules should be made. 9 rules will decide that if we have got 2 parameters to control temperature and humidity, right? And the temperature I categorize into as cool, warm and hot, cool, warm and hot, and humidity as low, medium and high. Then I'll make 9 different rules or 9 different rules in the knowledge base. Like if temperature is cool and humidity is low, then fan speed is low. So this is a rule base that we are forming. We are not learning automatically because there is no input.
Knowledge base means we are saved all the knowledge from the previous.
No, not from previous. We are creating it as per our needs. The person who is designing the system is creating, because we are not giving any learning kind of environment to the fuzzy system. Like for neural network, we are giving the learning by example set. Like we say that if this is the input, then this should be the output. If this is the input, then this should be the output. So we give the neural networks a complete set of input-output relations. And then we give the neural network an unknown output, and then we ask the neural network to give us the output for that.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Sir, we have another question.
Please.
Sir, what is the difference between the machine learning and deep learning? It is asked by the Arnab Paul. Is it
See,
just
is it one and the same thing? I have already told you that people are confused with the name. Machine learning is the bigger envelope. Deep learning is very specific. When we are talking about neural networks, and neural networks, that too specifically with the multi-layer perceptrons, then the concept of deep learning neural networks have evolved. Otherwise, machine learning is again neural networks, so they both are for neural networks only. So there is no hard and fast difference between machine learning and deep learning.
Sir, one question from my side.
Please.
Sir, tell me, as an electrical engineer, if this AI technique is having some any kind of boundary that is belonging to somewhat any area or somewhat any stream of this engineering, or is an open boundary? Anyone can use it.
Anyone can use it, but see, Rishabh, the problem is that what we are interested in, that people are nowadays applying neural networks and fuzzy system to everything. See, the question is that why we need to apply it. What is the benefit? Are we getting any kind of benefit? If we are not getting any benefit, then there is no point in applying an artificial intelligence system. Like for example, I've said, people are using camera nowadays. Okay? And that camera, it is written, it is a AI based camera. Now you can see a 10,000 rupees phone is giving you a AI based camera, which is automatically taking care of whether the light is low or light is not low, how far is the object. It is giving you the correct result. So now in this case, the artificial neural network has got some kind of commercial value. If I've developed the system, then maybe it has got some kind of commercial value which is selling in the market. If you're talking about electrical engineering, the question that comes is that why we are applying it. Is it giving us fast results? Is it possible to implement the things in hardware? Because that is more important question. Because whatever we are doing in engineering, most of the times we are doing the simulation. But simulation won't solve the problem, because if you are working in industry wants an hardware. So how we are going to implement it in the hardware? So for simulation part, it is okay. But that is why people.
Sir, can we design any hardware based on the any AI technique? Can we dump it in the any kind of?
We can. Yes, we can. Definitely, we can. Like fuzzy logic, we all can design our laboratory fuzzy logic controller. It is very easy. We can do it on microprocessor, which just requires a very simple programming. Or FPGA card, we can do it. But neural network implementation is a little bit tougher. I'll not say it's possible or impossible, but it's a little bit tougher. See, people don't understand the concept of input. If I ask you that what is going to be the input for temperature, how you will sense temperature, you need a sensor, right? And for humidity, you need a sensor. Now you have worked on hardware, you know how hard it is to convert everything so that there is no problem. Because your sensor takes an analog input, right? Your humidity sensor will take analog input. Now you need to convert that analog to digital. Now that digital thing will be converted into fuzzy. Then fuzzy will go to fuzzy inference system. Then again defuzzification. Then output. Then from digital, from fuzzified to crisp digitally. Then digital to analog. And again analog goes to the controller. So this complete process is a cumbersome process. It is not that easy.
Sir, I have one question.
Please.
Is that these AI techniques are getting improved day and day? So is it possible that say after 80 or 100 years, AI-enabled robots will control human beings or they will compete with human beings? Is it possible?
I can't say. Maybe it's a Matrix movie that you're talking about. But I am not very sure that whether it will happen or not. But that I'm sure that most of the processes in life will be controlled by artificial intelligence now. Like now, if you can talk about pandemics, nobody has thought of becoming digital, but everybody is not digital. Your banking is completely digital. your railway reservation is completely digital. And maybe you have seen some website which is saying that you click this box that you are not a robot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have seen.
You have seen now.
Yes.
See what it does. There are robotic websites which automatically fills the data for you. So people have already designed a AI-based website. What it will do is it will keep on filling the data. Right, so all the websites which are interacting with human, like your banking site, it always check that you are not a robot. So it has developed, and for next 80 years or 100 years, I'm very sorry, dear, I'm not able to comment upon it. But I'm very sure that most of us will be dependent on AI like anything, right from our car to our homes to home automation, your Siri,
sir.
Alexa, everything.
Sir, in that case, do you think that cognitive ability of human being is going to reduce, or it will?
For sure, it has already reduced. It is not just it has not reduced. You see their dependence of how many passwords do you remember right now?
Yes.
So for every website, I'm seeing that I'm having a 2-page A4 sheets with me that is completely filled with passwords. Now, as a human being, I'm not able to. You see, every time you go to a bank, there are 2 passwords: login password, transaction password. Right? For your phone, there are 3 passwords. Every app that you're dealing with is a password. Even your Google and this all Microsoft Teams, your online digital platform, password. You go and download a website, password. IEEE, 1 password. So many of passwords are there that I think somewhere we will go to this password manager kind of application where we'll store all our passwords. So cognitive ability is definitely decreasing day by day because our dependence on technology is increasing like anything.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So any other question?
Sir, is it too much to expect that AI-enabled robot will assist human beings in space mission or travel, which is requiring longer time of journey, say 20
No,
years or like that?
it has already started. It has already started. Robots have started to do operations along with the normal doctors, and people have started to send missions which are completely controlled by robots now. You must have heard of that robot, na? What's the name which got citizenship from Dubai?
Yes, the name was with S, Sajia or something. Sophia.
So already you have got citizens who are robots. So what you are talking about is very much achievable in next 1-2 years. Within 1-2 years, you will see that you can have robotic people assisting in important tasks like MI. MI has launched that robot, na, small boat which can clean your house automatically.
And also in some restaurant, the waiters are being replaced by robots.
Waiters have become robots, yes. So this thing is achievable in next 10 to 5 years that we'll see robots becoming.
Sir, can we view this as a, what should I say, negative side? Because people are going to lose jobs to these robots will be taking place because they don't need any leave. They will not fall sick. They will not be getting any salary, isn't it?
Yes. That's a big threat, man. That's a big threat. If everything is available online, then why you require a teacher also? Because most of us are giving you lectures online and we are recording it and we are putting it online. Then maybe even so we are reducing the services of the human beings. That's very true. That's true.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Nitin Singh, sir. You have enlightened us about the AI techniques. We have studied about the fuzzy logic systems. We have studied about the brain system in our mind. And we have also learned about the artificial intelligence. You have effectively answered most of the questions they have been asked here. So thank you for enlightening us, sir, and thank you for your support. You have given me your valuable time with us.
Rishabh,
yes,
I'll just take 2 minutes. I'll just want to show that again. I'm just going to show that again. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So guys, you can see that when we have selected the different inputs, now W1 is selected as 0.7 and W2 is selected as 0.3, and threshold we have kept as 0.8. We are able to achieve this complete truth table of AND gate. Like it is now 0, 0, 0, 1. That is the target. So now we can say that now this all depends upon your heuristics. Heuristics matlab what you think about the problem. What should be the weight W1, what should be W2, what should be the threshold. So I
Sir,
hope that I have answered the question of some lady.
Sir, this particular weight which you have chosen, it is working for AND gate. So it may not be working for any other kind of gates like NAND gate or
Yes,
XOR gate.
yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a heuristics based problem. So again for NAND gate, you have to again select W1, W2 in a different manner.
Yeah, it is application based. You have choose the
Application based, you have to
So
think.
what I was saying is that can it be done that we will develop such a model that will work for both AND gate and NAND gate and XOR gate? That means that values of weights and that.
Yes. But you have to train it again. Not one value of W1, W2 will work for all the gates.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you all, sir.
Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Very nice audience. And I'm really sorry, guys. I've taken at least one and a half hour almost, or maybe
No,
1 hour,
sir,
15, 20 minutes.
Sir,
No, sir.
no need to be sorry, sir. So we actually loved it. We loved it to learn from you, sir. So no need to be sorry, sir. At least from my side.
Thank you. And I would love to hear you from in the
We have-
future if you have any problem.
We have learned lot. We have learned lot, sir. With you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So officially we are ending here in this session, and please don't forget to fill this feedback form already given as a link here, and also the WhatsApp group. And I'm thanking my management. They have given me opportunity to organize this STTP, and thank you, Nitin sir, that they have selected our invitation, chosen, and given a topic on AI. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you.
And participants are requested to please fill the feedback form.